In this video we're going to be fitting a swing away wheel carrier to this 110. Basically because this one's rubbish. But first of all, I'm not selling anything today. Got a nice little postcard here from Richard in Brisbane. And what is it? It's Birdsville in Australia. I hope I got that right. Anyway, thank you for that. Postcards haven't been coming in recently because of COVID, but now you've all been jabbed and things like that, you can go on your holidays. Well, you can't come back. But anyway, we'll put them on the wall and look forward to getting a few more. Right, back in the tick. Edit that bit out. So here is the wheel carrier. Common Garden Britpart one. Why am I fitting... You stay there, don't fall off that chair. Why am I fitting it? Well, I think I mentioned when I had a walk around this car, somebody had put this type of extended studs on. Well, two reasons really. They're rubbish because they're not the same thread, the M16 thread, as a Land Rover wheel nut, so you're going to have two lots of spanners to get the wheel off, and also got some very dodgy welds on there, so it's not going to take very well, if you see what I mean. And also these doors are hopeless with a spare wheel on. They really are hopeless. They're just tinny rubbish, and they always crack. Even though it's got reinforcements down here and here, they just don't do the job. The wheels nowadays are too heavy. So I'm going to get the instructions out and then we'll dig into it. The instructions are written on no expense piece of black and white paper. Now it says here, remove spare wheel. Well, we've already done that. In fact, I could put one of these on without doing the instructions because I've done quite a few, but this is just for you at home. And this is the same as a Series 3, 2A and everything. It's the same technique. Open rear door. God, I have a 4. Remove door card. Well, that already fell off. Remove existing wheel carrier from door, making sure to keep the original bolts. What, them rusty things? Yeah, then it moves on to section 4. So let's do that. Let's take this off. Now it's a little bit more complicated than they say, because what we've got to do is swing this wiper motor out. We've got to take that 10mm bolt out of here and swing that away. And I've just noticed why the screen heater wasn't working, because the wire's been cut, so we'll repair that too. Right, let's get that taken off. With that out of the way, now we can go on to the next instruction. It says remove grab handle from rear cross member on the right hand side if fitted. Well, this hasn't got one. You know the handles that go on the chassis? Absolute waste of time then. They were like fitted to the early series trucks, so somebody could bump them if they're out in mud or anything like that. But if you've ever tried to bump one of these, well, you'll never do it. Right, so bolt, bottom bracket and spacer onto cross member using 2 M10 bolts with captive nut plate and 1 M12 bolt put in spacer in the cross member. Do not tighten at this stage. That bit. Yeah, that bit there. So we'll put this bit on. Now we'll dig out the box, all the bits. It's a pity they just didn't put everything in a bag relevant to the section, because they just put regular bolts in there. Yeah, I don't know, should I put them in stainless? I don't think I've got any M10s in stainless, unfortunately, but we're going to give everything, here we go, infomercial. We're going to give everything a bit of a coating with crown rust proofing before we put it in, so that's going to be good. So let me dig out this and we'll start to put this together. You can see sometimes why I don't read instructions. This is the assembly. Take note, it doesn't tell you how to put it together. You've got a tube here with a little metal bar on, and that's to hold it because it goes inside the chassis. And it's also got 2 captive nuts on a plate. You must put them in this order, so you put your long bolt through and then the 2 short bolts, and this sticks up vertically, if you see what I mean. It doesn't drag down at the bottom. So let's fit this. I might as well do it real time. It'll be probably a mess about, won't it? It's got a bit of a ding in the chassis here. I don't know what's happened there. Where's me rust proofing? Right, we'll give them a quick squirt first so it gets all nice and mucky. Let me turn the camera down a bit so we can see what we're doing. Is that clear? Yeah, should be. So it gets all over your hands, that's the main thing. And in my pocket. There is a spacer, I don't know if I mentioned it, there's a spacer that's really important just to push this off the body, because your actual bodywork sticks out a little bit further than the cross member, so they've come to that idea, putting a spacer on. Right. See how difficult this is. We'll put this one in. No, we're not. What? All right. So what the hell's this all about? That's the plate, isn't it? Wait a minute. God help us. Even I get stuck sometimes. So that's the place they go. And they're not going through there. Britpart, bloody Britpart. It looks like I'm going to have to drill the holes out. They don't tell you that. Back in a bit. Having drilled the holes out to a bigger size, which they don't tell you about, I'll put a bit of crown rust proofing on there. Now, when it comes to this hole here, the one furthest away, you have to go to the other side right through the chassis, because there's a double plate, if you see what I mean. There's a bit of a reinforcement on the end. So, when we're talking about plate, where's all the bits going? Here we are. Right, so we'll put this together. Oh, wait a minute. How the hell is this got to... I don't know why they couldn't have just welded this piece on. We'll put that one through there just temporarily. And then we've got these bolts and the nut plate. Bear with me. So we'll get this plate. I've already put some crown rust proofing on it. Drink up. And we'll put it on with these captive nuts here. Hopefully. There we go. Right. There's a nice thing about doing this on the lift. God, this is fiddly. That one started, that one's come out again. Now we'll grab hold of that little metal tube. When I can find it. What did I do with it? This is typical of me. Back in the tick when I found it. Might put, oh, wait a minute, it's in my pocket. Right, so the idea of this tube is so it doesn't collapse the chassis when you put it in. You know those two pieces of between here. So we're going to slip this up, push the bolt through, and a nut and washer onto it. Sort of. We'll see. Oh, this is fiddle central, this. How the hell are you supposed to get that up there? Do you know something? I don't think that's it. It's too long. It's a bit too long, so I'm going to have to grind a bit off it. I had to cut about 2mm off it. I don't think it's because of this dent here. I'm not sure, because when I test it against the end of the chassis, it slips in now, whereas it wouldn't before. That's how I knew where it was. So, let's get the nut and washer ready. This is going to just drop in there. Is it buggery? What the hell is this all about? I think I'm going to have to take a bit more. In there. I think there's a little bit of damage to the chassis. I'll just grind a bit more off. Take 2. Or is it 3? That should drop in there now. It just doesn't want to go. What a right faddle on this is. I'm laughing, but it's not funny, is it? Can't even see the bloody hole. Ah, wait a minute. Missed it. Oh no. Hey, we're in. Hey! 5-minute job, eh? Where's my rust proofing? Here. Because it's got this handy nozzle on. That's alright. Well, that was straightforward, wasn't it? I think so. Next! Oh yeah, it says it may be necessary to drill the bolt holes out in the cross member. Now read it all the way through first. Top bracket. Drill out the rivets on the body capping as shown in the picture below. Couldn't make it any darker, could you? But what they're going to do is we put that here. Now this is offset, so it doesn't say actually which way it goes round. Well, I think I'll better read this instruction. Place bracket over hole, centralise mark, and mark second hole. Huh? Drill out rivet on body capping as shown in picture below. Place bracket over hole, centralise and mark a second hole. Drill both holes to 10.5mm, fit bracket using captive nuts to rear body. I won't tell you which way around it goes. I assume it goes like that then. Well, what do we have to mark our holes out for? Why does it say that? See why I don't fit accessories for people, or try not to. Drill out rivet on body capping as in picture below. Place bracket over hole, centralise and mark second hole. Well, there's no need because they both line up. I don't know if you can see that. Right, you see the two rivets here? It fits perfectly. Why I keep saying that? Sorry about that. How vague? Well, I'm going to drill them out. 10.5mm in. I think I've already got a drill. Let me drill those out. Didn't have a 10.5mm. I think it's just about over 3/8 this one, so it'll do. Gives us a bit of wriggle room. I had to sharpen my drill bit up. So sharp I have to hand them into NATO, that's how sharp those are. So, put a bit of crown rust proofing on, and this simply goes through there like that. You don't see this on wheeler dealers, do you? Fannying about. Somebody does it for them. So, this is simply going to go. Should have prepped this up, shouldn't I? So that's going to go like that. I'm not sure which way that plate goes. I think when we put it in, I think the shallow piece goes to the top. Sort of like that. Right? Let's get that done. Oh, this is going to be fun, isn't it? I'm going to reach round. Oh. I have to take the bloody window out. How am I going to get in there? Right, they don't tell you that, do they? Oh, well. People say, Mike, why don't you paint the stuff? Well, the crown sort of makes a film and it's really good stuff, so there's really no need. I know, crown, drink up, you know. Right, let's see how that goes. That's going to go on there like that. Those holes are enormous. How the hell am I going to do that? How on earth am I going to hold that and tighten that up at the same time? You've got to be bloody joking. How am I going to get into there? I think we'll take this trim off. Where's my dismantling tool? Yeah, the thin piece, this piece is the top. That's the top. But now, how the hell am I going to put that in? How the hell am I going to hold that up there? My arms aren't long enough. This is going to take some thinking. How the hell am I going to do that? Can't get my hand through the hole here. I have to take the door off. Well, this is a bloody joke, isn't it? I've got an idea. So this is my solution, how to hold this on your own without having an arm extension. I've drilled a little hole in the plate and I've got one of these self-tapping or self-drilling and self-tapping screws, a tech screw. I'll put a bolt in from the back. I can't get one in from this side because one of the bolts that holds the roof panel on, or the side panel, gets in the way. I was hoping to put two on. But if I can get one in, eyeball it up, put the screw in, I made it a bit of a wiggle room, and then I can take the screw out, put the screws in from the other side, and then wiggle it around a bit. Is it going to work? I don't know. Let's make these things up as I go along. Have you ever noticed now that 17, you know, like M10 bolts now are 16mm heads instead of 17. Who's got a 16mm spanner? Hardly anybody. But 5/8 fits, so that's good. we're alright. At least we've got something here that fits. Let's see if we can get this in. So, put the bolt through. You can't see this, but believe me, I'll tell you what it's happening. Well, we'll get one that fits. Wait a minute, I've got a better idea. Let me get a nut. Excellent. Now, this might be an even better idea, because if I can put a little nip onto that, move that into place, lose the bolt. That's it. That should go like that or like that. It goes like that, doesn't it? Now, aha! Aha! Like Alan Partridge. Aha! What a faff on! Now, yeah, this is a little bit easier. That's my nut fell off. Don't worry about that. Now if I tighten this up a bit, get a podger, screwdriver's handy, lift up the plate, bugger the thread up. These are grade 10 bolts. And it's as simple as that. That's all you have to do. So, what a faff on. It's sort of handy if you have two people to do this job. Let's read the next bit. Right, fit bracket. Well, we've done that. Next it says, door bracket. Fix door plate to door using existing bolts with centre 4 pins to the left hand side. Alright. Now, I'm not going to cheap out and do that. I'm going to put some nice stainless bolts through there. This is the plate. This is the left hand side. You can see where we've just painted around this, but that goes on like that, look. Yeah. Of course the holes don't line up. All right. Crown it. Get it lashed on. Right. Stainless bolts. And we're going to use stainless bolts and flanged nuts. So these stainless ones I imported from Europe because they're really nice. They're stainless steel flange headed bolts, just the right size. Right. This is a sort of a visual thing. You'll just have to believe me. These are going to be a right fiddle to do. I don't know if it's the door itself or the plate. Not many of the bolts are lining up. They might do. Of course, they don't make what do you expect it to? Bloody Britpart part. Line up. Well, that's like a dog's hind leg. You see that? The bolt holes don't line up properly. Those three do. The rest are a mile out. I don't want to drill holes everywhere. What's it say? Fixed door plate using bolts with centre 4 pins to the left hand side. Figure 1. Use slotted holes for Defender 2002 to 2007. Use round holes for earlier Defenders and series. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? But they still don't bloody line up. Fit sliding arm to plate as shown in picture. Right, alright. Round holes, slotted holes. Remove M12 nut from end of sliding mechanism. Off a wheel carrier by first locating sliding pieces. Put top and bottom pivot bar. That's way ahead of us. Let me tighten up these couple of bolts here and I'll drill the holes out. Well, that was a right faff on. So these bolts here lined up, but these were miles out. But when you see inside, it's still gone through the reinforcement plate, so that's good. At least I got something right. The next thing, fit sliding arm plate as picture shown. Where is that? It's here. Didn't tell you that, fella. Oh, that's a. Oh, I think that's the difference between the cheap ones and the expensive ones. This has just got a nylon. This is going to stick when it's rusty type sleeve, but the other one's got like a pneumatic or a hydraulic cylinder. That's going to rust in it. I think I'll put some proper anti-seize on that first. Right, I've got that on. It faces its lowest point. I've put some anti-seize and forced it into the bottom. Now I know crown rust proofing would do the job, but in this instance I thought something a little bit more substantial, because those steel tubes aren't always guaranteed to get, well, they're guaranteed to get water in them, aren't they? Right, next, wheel carrier. Remove M12 nut from end of sliding mechanism. Here. Offer up the wheel carrier by first locating the sliding piece through the carrier. Alright, in a minute. Put the top and bottom pivot pins in place. Once assembled, tighten up all the nuts and bolts and check that the carrier moves freely when the door is opened and closed. Refit spare wheel with existing wheel nuts. How simple is that? So I'll need to get a spanner for that. Making a tick. Right, this is where I do myself a mischief. Lifting this on. Now I see it's got... Oh, I thought it was cable ties. It's just some little clips holding the bushes in. Not clips, but ties. Go off. Should have cut these off on the floor, shouldn't I? That's them out of the way. Now it says, put this on the pin first. Oh, that was easy, wasn't it? Get this nut on, come on mate. Just come off there. See how all that lined up nice? Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Now I've noticed on the better quality swing away guards, they've got grease points in here, grease nipples, but I don't think I can say nipple on YouTube. Oh, I just did. And look! It lines up! Be Jesus. Now, I don't know what it says about tightening this nut up, but we'll tighten it up anyway. In fact, I'll just put a little nip on it for now. Oh, I see, it just slides out. I see. Now this is where it gets a bit complicated because the little plate that's at the back of here, I left the bolts slack until this was on, but I'm going to tighten them up. We'll think of something. Back in a bit, and what I'll do is I'll tighten up this and then I'll show you how we're going to adjust it. Now I've noticed I just undid the nut off the end of here and opened the swing away carrier. It was kind of easy, but now I'm just going to tighten up these bolts here, but it's not very clear what this actual piston does because there's two washers behind there and one's a jam nut, and I'm just wondering whether there should be, those washers should go either side of this plate. Here, I don't know if you can see, there's a little slot in the end of here. I don't know. Well, this seems to be its nicest height, so we'll tighten that up. That's that done. And then we'll have to see about that. That's this here. Why has it got a jam nut on there? I'll get a pair of pliers and hold that thread. Didn't really take much holding, so I'm going to put one washer on this side like this. I've tightened those up as you saw. I'll bring this across here, so that's gonna, that should go into there. Oh, I see, wait a minute, I'm not holding it right. Bet you didn't see that because my head was in the way. But now I'm going to put a washer on here. I'm going to put the big nut on, which I've just left inside, so that's going to be a problem. I thought so. I'll tighten that nut up. I'll zoom out a bit. Oop, not that way, mate. I always get it wrong now. I'll start to put the jam nut on before this thread gets too far out. There we go. Ooh. Now, does that go all the way? Yep. Right, so now we should be able to tighten up these bolts, and that should be it. Of course, I've left the bloody gun inside. I'll do them properly in a minute. Well, there's me talking to myself because the battery went flat. Don't forget to put the wiper motor steady bracket on. That's a bit tight. Let's be good and see if I can persuade it in a bit. There we go. I did a video on these once before, on these little sockets that you can get for your impact. They're really good for like 10 and 12, 13 millimeter bolts, maybe 14 heads. We don't usually use 14s or 12s, but you know, like when I was putting the panel in, it's really handy. And these little light guns, these are only a little 12 volt D-Walt with a quarter drive. I built the whole building, like the roof trusses and everything, just with this little thing. Everybody said it was crap, but it was really good. Right, so the thing is now, where do all these bits go? Just give me a second, I'll show you. So we've got all these bits left over, kind of worrying really. It's got three big washers, which I don't know where they go. And they're the wrong size. They're not M12s for the big bolt, for the big bolts that go through the frame. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's for TD5 or something like that. I don't know. So do I like it? Yeah, I do. The only thing I don't like is seeing these holes here. They look a bit sort of cheap, don't they? I mean, the inside one's not too bad. I'll tell you what I might be tempted to do. I might be tempted to drill them through and put some nuts and bolts in to make them look nice. I don't know. They don't really do anything apart from guide this. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It's all nicely crown rust proofed up, so I'm going to spray the tubing, and inside the tube I'm going to drill a little hole and so the crown can get in. And apart from that, that's it. Can you do it on your own? Well, I did, but you have to use a bit of ingenuity when you put the top in on your own. That's the only downside. Is it going to do the job? Yes. Yeah, it's going to work fine. And like I say, anything, absolutely anything, is better than putting the wheel on the back door. All the weight now is on the chassis, and it's guided by that top there, so it's going to be fine. I know there's different designs, but at the time, there's this design, or there's one with a fancy cylinder, which is a copy of the genuine Land Rover one, which is almost twice as much as this one. All right, I'll put a little thing below how much it costs. They're not all that expensive, and I was thinking about making my own, but what a faff around, you know. I don't think I could make one as cheap. By the time I buy the materials, shop time, etc., etc., if I didn't have any money, well, I'd have a go, but time's money, so I've got to just bolt it on. So I'm going to just stop this here. I'm going to go get a bite of lunch, and then I'll come back and I'll put the wheel on, because I haven't got the tyre changed over yet. So, there we are, there's the end result. I'm sorry, it's all sweaty, it's really humid again. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? Does it work? Works perfectly, look. Oh, all my doors are shut now. So the next job on this, I'm having a go with a rear step. Jeremy had some steps here, and I thought I'll buy them off him. And one of them had a square receiver. One's for like a UK type ball, and the other one's for an American receiver. But the daft buggers who'd welded it in and welded the square tube in at an angle. So I've messed about with it for about 2 hours trying to get this thing straight. And in the end, I just ended up cutting it and going to go downtown to get a new piece of steel. Well, the reason why I'm in a bit of a rush, I'm going to get both rear bumper steps sandblasted. Why? What if you don't use them, Mike? Because the sandblasting man is retiring. You can't get anybody to work for him, and it's a crappy job, so he's sold it. So he said he'd do them for me, so that's all right, isn't it? But there's the job done. All it needs now is a bit of a clean up, and she's ready to go. Yeah, I'm pleased with it. It looks right, doesn't it? That's the thing. And again, it's taken all the weight off that door. I don't know why they weren't standard, you know. Crazy idea. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. The instructions weren't fantastic, so even if I did read them, they would be rubbish. See ya.